Before going back to Photoshop, let's see a little bit of theory about bloom, glare, and lens flares. The bloom effect, sometimes referred as glow, is mainly visible around overexposed areas. It looks like some of the light overlaps the borders and at the same time change its color slightly. Bloom happens because in the real world, lenses can never focus perfectly. And we can understand that bloom and glow should only happen where the image brightness is close or higher than 100%. So it's a bad habit to add glow everywhere or to exaggerate with its size. It could be also an error to paint a monochromatic bloom since it's rarely the case. Glare is linked to the bloom effect since it defines its shape. We can get a soft, blurred glow or something that looks like a star. We can work on two things in the second case, the lenticular halo and the flare lines. The lenticular halo is a multicolored ring that is more visible when a dark area surrounds the light. Distance between the viewer and the light affects its opacity. Then we have flare lines, which starts from the center and radiate outwards. It looks like that the number of lines depends on the diaphragm plate count. And then we have the lens flare, which happens when light is scattered in the lens system of your camera. As you can see, it produces a solid and I would say annoying result. Again, the lens flare shape depends on the diaphragm plate count. We are not going to use the lens flare effect in Photoshop widely since it could distract the viewer. Remember to not misunderstand bloom, glare, and lens flares with the bokeh effect. We get the bokeh effect when we see lights far in the distance and out of focus. Once again, the shape depends on the diaphragm blade count. So now that we have seen a little bit of theory, let's go back to Photoshop with a few examples. Now, in this particular image, I would say that we shouldn't have bloom or glare or lens flare for the reason that we don't have overexposed areas, and so we don't have bloom, we don't have glare, and we don't have lens flare because we don't look at the sun directly, so it's not entering the camera lenses. And if you want to add a little bit of bloom, it's fine. Maybe we can have a little bit of glow, I don't know, around here where the sky is brighter. Or maybe if we zoom in, and we can have a little bit of glow around the lamp here. I mean, it's doable, but it's not really necessary. Anyway, before going with better examples, I want to show you something you don't have to do, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do, please don't do it, okay? Because this is the wrong way to add glow, to add the bloom effect to the set, to the image, okay? So and you can tell if someone is doing this way, and I mean, please don't do it this way. So let me show you the common mistake. So the common mistake should be like this. You take the whole image and you make a one layer only of the image, okay? So you go on top in the last group or layer, and it should be visible in order to do so. And you press Ctrl Alt Shift E to get one layer only of the entire image, okay? And then you put this layer in screen mode, because glow and bloom, you need to go in screen mode. And then of course this is too strong, so we go down with the opacity, okay? And last, we can just go here and go for a Gaussian blur. And if you blur a little bit, you get this kind of diffuse glow which is everywhere, and it looks like we are living in a dream, and this is completely wrong. And it's completely wrong because the glow effect, the bloom effect, should be visible only on very bright areas. Okay, so if you want to do something better than this, okay, you can do this. You can go back on, the Control A Shift E, one layer only image, and then you go here on select color range, and with the picker you pick, one of the brightest spot you can pick, right? So something like this. And then you can of course decide how, the threshold to select, pixels with a brightness which is closer to the one you pick. Okay, and then you press OK. And once you have the selection, you press Ctrl J on the keyboard. And doing so, now we don't need this layer anymore. Doing so, we have now a layer with only the brightest areas inside, as you can see. Okay, so don't move it. And once you have it, you right click and you convert this to a smart object for the only reason that maybe we don't want to, blur this layer in a destructive way. We want to be able to go back and change the blur intensity. So now that we have a smart object, we can go back on filters, and you know what? I mean, the field blur inside blur gallery would be the best solution, because we can then decide each piece, each part of the image at which blur intensity you can set. But we will go with the Gaussian blur for simplicity. And I'm going to blur this just a little bit like this. And then we can go down with the opacity. And we can see before and after, okay? And if it's not something you like, you can go back on the Gaussian blur and increase the strength. See? And play again with the opacity. And you can do this multiple times if you want. So I don't know, if you want a very strong glow down there, you can just do it and mask this result. So I will put a mask, invert the mask with Control I, and then paint with the white brush only where I want the effect. And then I can duplicate this. See, fill the mask again, completely black. And then maybe I will paint this mask now here, and maybe here I change the size of the blur with something smaller. See? I mean, normally if I go this way, I put these layers inside a group. I call this group glow or bloom, whatever, lowercase, sorry. And then these goes inside the effects folder. And you can choose to go down with the opacity of the entire group, because maybe now the effect is too strong. I mean, it should be visible if you turn it on and off, but it shouldn't be that visible in this case if you keep it on, okay? It's something that is there, but it's very soft, very, subtle, and it's okay like that. It's better if we change, for the next example, we change the file, we go maybe in the skyscraper PSB, because in there you can really play with glow and bloom and, glare and lens flare if you want, because it's night, and so they are way more visible than, during daylight. But anyway, even if you go here, we can do something here on this area, okay? And I would do like another layer. I would pick the color of the light there, and maybe with a very small brush, a little bit like squeeze like that, okay? We can just have a little bit of bloom there. Maybe in the center, because it's where the light is stronger, like this. Screen mode, opacity down. See, this is okay. It's really a detail, but it makes sense. A very quick way to fix the bloom or the glow and at the same time the glare effect is to find a picture, a photo online with real light from a street lamp on a black background, and you take the picture, you bring it in your file, you cut it out, or maybe you erase the borders, and then you can just turn the blending mode to screen. And as you can see, it works out of the box and you can place it there. Now, remember that you don't have to, do a perfect job if that part of the picture is very small, okay? Maybe it's like just a couple of hundreds of pixels. It's enough, all right? And you can duplicate that layer then with Ctrl J and bring it everywhere else. Maybe you scale it down, you squeeze it a little bit, and it will work. This, or you can go for an image and build your own brush tip. Okay, so again, you take a photo and you open it, white background, black shape, and you get a new brush. So I made a quick search on Google for street lamp at night, and I get this one. I know there's no streaks in this one, but the theory is the same. So I'm taking this one, copy image, back to Photoshop, file, new file. And because I have the image in memory, I can get a canvas which has the same size of that image. And because we know that the brushes need to be black on white, I will immediately invert this image. I know there's a little bit of blue there. I don't need that, so I desaturate the image, Ctrl Shift U, and then I can even rescale it a little bit because it's too big. And then we can select the background. We can fill the background with a white color. Alt backspace. And then I will put a mask in this. And then, as usual, with a very soft brush, I invert the mask and I paint white only what I want to keep the shape. So something like this could be good. So edit. You see there is no defined brush preset because I'm selecting the mask. So I will make a new layer with everything inside, just to be sure. Define brush preset and press OK. And now we have the brush. And if you go back in here, okay, and you don't like this anymore, we can, make a new layer. Pick a color for this light. And put the layer in screen mode. And try. And of course, you see now this light is probably too wide, it's too tall. But you get the idea. So I mean, this is too much. You know what? You can use this brush to paint the area just underneath the light, and maybe we can get another lamp to make the shape of the light inside the lamp itself. So we can go back here and we can search for another one, maybe with a more kind of rectangular shape, I would say. It's a matter of patience, and you see, here we go. This is perfect. Copy image, back in Photoshop, new file. I'm going to make a new one. Paste. Now we need just this area here. We don't need anything else. Mask this. Invert the background. Invert this one. All right. We can rotate it a little bit in order to make this kind of a flat thing. All right. And then little by little, with a normal brush, we blur the borders. We eat a little bit of the borders with black color this time. Because what we care about is this shape, not, you know, what's out of it. Something like this could be good. Let's try again. Edit, find brush preset. Okay, good. Now we go back here, make a new layer. Now this one could be also in color dodge, right? Because this is the actual lamp, but I will keep screen for now and let's try with this. Maybe if we squeeze a little bit, we rotate a little bit, you see? Makes sense. See? And then we have this one, we can put it there. And then maybe we find another photo with some streaks, see, or we can just blend this with the original one. And remember that if you want to change the color of the bloom or the glow, you can just add a hue saturation on top, attach it to the glow itself, and then change the hue, you see, to make it to match the color with the color of the light. And the same for the other layer. You can drag and drop the same hue. Pressing Alt is basically cloning it. You can attach it then. And it's changing slightly the color of that lamp. Okay, so looking for photos on internet is a great tool. Of course, you can take your own pictures, you can make your own photos. But anyway, the things doesn't change. You need to convert those photos into a brush, or if you don't want, you can just put that photo, the photo itself, on top of your render in screen mode. So speaking about picking images from the internet, we found this lens flare, and we decided to work with it because in this particular case, the sun is on the back of the image and is bouncing on this facade. And so the reflection is right our face, and it's should be pretty strong, I would say. And I mean, we like these effects, this lens flare, and there's only a few things you need to probably, delete, because, you don't want that to happens over the image probably. But if you want to delete some details, first put the image in screen mode, and then you see you can easily understand what you don't need. Okay, so in this case we delete this part. Here there's a fix to make, because you can see it looks like cut it out. So I select the mask, a brush, black brush, very soft, and I try to little by little just brush out that area, and now it works. And if you look at the image with the finalization on top, it's it's pretty powerful, but it works. And it works only because of the reflection angle and the sun position, of course. And last thing for this video, remember that also fog is working in screen mode. If you decide to take a brush and put an empty layer here in screen mode and start painting with a low opacity, you can easily add fog effects. Of course, you need to be very careful with this, and I'm doing it now just because of the sun at the back. But normally to make a proper fog effect, you need the ZDAP, you need some smoke photos, and so on. You will see in the proper video. But remember that maybe just a couple of strokes, maybe just a small brush, it adds depth to the image if you need it. Okay, it doesn't mean you have to do it. Okay, but you can have a little bit of, a glow, or anyway haze just with a layer like this. My advice is keep the opacity low, keep the opacity low on the brush too, and do it little by little without exaggerating, okay? And once you have an effect, always try to go down with your opacity and see what happens, okay? And maybe do it again. So another layer, you do it again with low opacity, maybe a slightly different color, and you keep doing it until you're happy. And once you're done with this effect, you group them together. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're breaking the normal grouping, you can break rules if you need. And then you go on and off and you see if you actually like it more, if it makes sense, and if the image looks better.